Epiphanius, a respected 4th century historian who lived about 300 years after the time of Christ, tells us that the 1st century Christians, known as Nazareans, were different from unbelieving Jews and different from the Christians of his day. He said that they disagreed with the Jews because they had come to faith in Christ, and that they were in disagreement with the Christians of his day because the Nazareans, as he said, were fettered with the law and kept the Sabbath. In regards to Sabbath observance, Epiphanius says that Christians of his day had been granted something more perfect. He condemns those 1st century believers for failing to find grace regarding Sabbath observance, for continuing to keep the Sabbath. Now, it's important to remember that Epiphanius lived and wrote during the 4th century, after the time when Emperor Constantine had proclaimed Sunday, the first day of the week, to be the day of rest throughout the empire. Epiphanius tells us that 1st century believers, known as Nazareans, were known as the Jews' enemies. He said not only do Jewish people have an hatred of them, they even stand up at dawn, at midday, and toward evening. 3 times a day when they recite their prayers in the synagogues, they curse and anathematize them. 3 times a day they say, God cursed the Nazareans. For they harbor an extra grudge against them, if you please, because despite their Jewishness, they preach that Jesus is Christ. Jerome, a 4th century Latin translator, confirms the writings of Epiphanius. He states the very same thing. How many times have we heard intellectuals question whether or not Jesus actually lived? They demand historical evidence outside the New Testament, as if the most accurate history book ever written is not enough. Well, there's one thing for sure: Jews living in the 1st century after the time of Christ certainly did not believe that Jesus was a fictitious character. They prayed against his followers 3 times a day. Earnestly contending for the faith once delivered to the saints, I'm Richard Reeves with Just the Facts.